So I just started recording. This is history on its own. Whose cell phone's beeping?
That's me. I'm fixing it. There we go.
You're always causing trouble.
I know. People always have questions for me.
So people tuning in, welcome to Clean and Sober Stoner. This is the first time that the whole core crew is together. So let's start up top with Jipsy, and then introduce yourself, what you do with Clean and Sober Stoner, and then pass it on to the next dude.
All right. Well, I'm Jipsy. I'm out here in California, so I do a lot of California-based coverage, writing reviews. My favorite thing to do, though, is the interviews with bands. I love, especially if I go to a show and then I talk to them there and interview them shortly after. That's such a great feeling. So, yep, that's what I do.
We miss you. I'm so glad you're back. And if you haven't seen her Dreadspire interview, it's fire, Chef. That thing, like, anybody who knows Dreadspire is going crazy. Not only that, but you also wrote a piece.
Yes, and then I got to visit, and there will be a piece written about this. I got to go to the UC Berkeley's radio station where they had them play. I got to be there as a guest, and that was rad. That was fantastic.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, I'm not going to say Gypsy's the oldest. She is the senior member. She's been with the team. You have survived working with me for over a year.
Like a record.
It's been the finest thing that I've gotten to do in this stage of life.
Oh, wow. Like, that actually hit me a little hard. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Okay, and we go from the most senior to the brand new dude. That's right, the future megastar. The guy's got the keys to the monster Riff kingdom. Straight from Sleeping Shaman. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the world's soon-to-be famous Marty Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you asking me to do this. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm really excited about it. You know, it's obviously on unfortunate circumstances, but before we get to that, I'm real excited about it. I'm going to wind up being, a big time contributor with reviews, features. I'm excited to write opinions. There's a history section on Monster Riff that I'm excited to tap into.
Oh, you've been taking a look, have you?
I have, yes. And I spent the last 5 years writing for the Sleeping Shaman. I'm in which, is, in my opinion, the premier underground heavy site in Europe, certainly in the United Kingdom. And by trade, I'm a tattoo artist. I've been doing it for 29 years, and I am in Albuquerque, New Mexico, so I'm not too far from you. So I'm super stoked about the opportunity.
It's awesome to have you here.
Thank you.
It feels like we've worked with him before, doesn't it?
Yeah. I appreciate that, you guys. I really do.
No, seriously, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And speaking of technical disasters, that's a segue over to S. Patrick Brooks from the Heavy.
No, it's a disaster.
Have you ever recorded anything that actually was one straight long take?
Yeah, Gypsy has it. I did it just yesterday.
Yes.
It's first time. And I think it's a function of being in my basement, and I probably need to get like a booster for my router and include. Although it says I have like full bars right now, but I don't know.
The whole world's internet has been a mess for about 8 months.
It has.
I know there's been a lot of solar flare activity. I mean, honestly, I do know that because I like astronomy and I follow that.
Well, we all know it is Biden's fault. So
something like that.
Okay, I took a swing. I actually hit that ball. Anyway, Sean Patrick Brooks, he's my partner in crime. Dude, you've been doing amazing material. I remember I said one thing per week. I think you thought I meant per day.
Yeah. So, you turn it off for a while and then everything stopped. And then when I turned it back on, like
It's fun. It's
Well,
addictive.
here's what happens. You're like outside mowing the lawn, and then you're like, oh, man, I should go do a recovery, dude, and grab my 15 favorite albums that I listen to. And like, you know, like I still got grass in the bag of the mower because I never finished that job. Andrea's like, are you going to, I'm like, I got to go shoot another thing. And then, you know, I think also, I absolutely, because I become a part of this group, I'm super excited about it. And sorry, I say super excited way too much. I got to watch that. It could be a drinking game based on me saying super excited. But I'm energized by being part of this group, and I'm so excited about it and being a collaborator with you guys, all of you guys. It's just like, I mean, a year ago, I had no dreams of like our aspirations of any of this happening. So it's all been, so it's just been amazing, and I'm happy to be part of it. I'm going to do some writing too, and then I'm going to keep doing videos. I love interviewing bands too, Jipsy. And I think I'm going to kind of change the focus of how I'm interviewing. And then I really am enjoying doing the Heavy Underground crop report. And that's something Scott suggested for like the last year, really. And he's right. It's a great idea. And I'm having a blast doing it. And I play my little Bubba Hufferfield character. I got my Bubba Hufferfield hat.
Love it.
And
I like that.
I'm not doing the accent, but you know, but anyway, you guys, like, please, you know, I hope I don't bother you, but like, I also would like to, you know, be part of a collaborative group. So if I have ideas and stuff, I hope I'm not going to drive you all crazy if I fill up our chat with ideas or whatever. So
That's a very short drive.
I don't.
for all of us.
It's like creative juices, man. You know, like you're talking about your ideas. You know, I mean,
Just remember,
you know, look behind me. You know, I mean, it's you get an
Like-
idea and you go.
Thanks for people like you, by the way.
Thank you.
There's pictures all over my body.
with your creative juices, somebody has to clean that slop up, just like those quarter movie peep shows they had back in Vegas in the 70s. Okay, speaking.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Speaking of the slop,
Yeah, that time that your dog like barfed.
I was watching that the other day because I was like, oh, Buggy wanted to see it because he heard me talking about it, and he was laughing.
Hey, that's right, right?
That was good timing. Sure, you guys talk about dogs.
Well, I wish my dogs were here. All right.
No, I'm at work. There's mine right here.
The one, the only, the superstar himself, Reverend Fuzzcut.
Hey,
You are awesome, buddy.
thank you, and it's great to meet you guys all in like person on screen or so. You know, I haven't got a chance to do that yet, but yeah, I got some kind of like the punky, sludgy kind of nastiness, grossness guy on staff. I like everything with a little extra bit of saturation and grossness around it.
Yeah.
From like a
I
little
got some.
punk
Hey, I got
background.
some. I got to send you, by the way. Speaking of that, so I'll send
Heck
it to you. All right.
Something super gross.
Oh, I'm excited.
I don't like it.
But yeah, here lately, you know, Scott's been giving me some real good feedback on some of the stuff I've been writing, and I think I'm going to lean a little bit into these pedal reviews that I've been doing.
Nice.
And yeah, because like I noticed like the things I like to write about are kind of like what I'm currently interested in. So a lot of times I'll go through phases with like death metal and, you know, crust punk or noise rock, and then stoner rock's always kind of there, you know, just there.
Okay. I
but-
need 15 pages with diagrams on the Line 6 Helix. Can you get that to me by
At
Monday?
this point, I could probably sing it from memory. That's another thing. Like here, now that the kids are getting ready to go back to school next week, I'll be able to write a little more. And in that writing, it'll reflect that like I'm starting to work on my own music. So, you know, I'm kind of interested in pedals right now, the technology side of it, and all that kind of thing.
Well, I'm honored. I'm just blown away looking at this. You know, I was a fan of the Brady Bunch growing up, and we just need a couple more people, and I could be Alice in the middle.
Oh, perfect.
There we go, man.
So,
Well, and Scott, are we? You were Rev. You were talking about your own music. Are we all musicians?
I played a little bit of guitar, and I you know, I really wish that I would have took it more seriously when I was younger. You know, I didn't want to practice. I wanted to be good really quick. And so by the time I took it seriously, I was a bit older. And by the time kind of got around to actually trying to play music, a good friend of mine, you know, I was just kind of looking at my hands and, you know, And he was like, dude, you have the loudest voice out of anybody I've ever met. So he's like, you have to be a singer. And I was always kind of embarrassed about my voice, right? So I said, fuck it. And I went for it. And we were called Under the Sun, after last song on Volume 4, right? Which I was kind of mentioning, before we got going. And being down here in the desert, everybody was like thinking it was some kind of hippie thing. And it was like, no. But a couple of people would get it, they'd be like, oh, Volume 4, I'm like, right? Because not to kind of segue in there right off the bat, but for me, everything about that song is some of the pinnacle of early Sabbath, but the lyrics to that song in particular, thinking for yourself, believing in yourself, all that type of stuff, it's pretty awesome.
Favorite Sabbath song.
Yep.
Man, yeah, fucking
and just the outro of that alone.
Oh yeah,
is just epic. So we are.
Guitar. I played guitar.
Do you?
You did.
Nice.
Yeah, I played guitar for I played it in a band in high school, and then I played guitar for pretty seriously through my 30s and my early 40s. And then I drank a lot and sold all my shit so I could drink some more. And then I still have a guitar, but I haven't picked it up in a long time. And
right.
I think
when I met Andrea, one of the stipulations of our relationship was that I would not be in a band due to a former relationship that she had. And so, but yeah, man, I nobody should be as bad at a guitar as I was after 10 years of playing. And you know what? I feel much more comfortable on this side of the music, writing about it and talking about it and chatting with musicians. But it's nice to have some sort of musical background because I do understand what's going on gear wise, and the rigors of being in a band. Although my band experience is very, very small. So
okay,
that's all I know.
So I have the opposite criteria. The in a dating relationship, it for me has to be another musician.
That's cool. I get that.
Because an opposite experience where I was with a non-musician for a long time who did not get it.
My wife Simone gets it. So we've been together 23 years. I'm very lucky. She's a rock fan. She's a big garage rock kind of psych fan too, but she loves Sabbath and all that stuff. And so she gets it. So I'm fortunate on that end,
Okay. Obviously, we're going to have to do this regularly, but in clean and sober stoner fashion, it's going to take us 20 damn minutes to get to the point of the thumbnail.
Sure.
Well, it's our
We're only going to take 20 minutes while we're doing it fast. All right. Accelerated mode.
Some of us are old and have clients in the morning.
Scott, you think I don't have to get up and sell people weed in the morning? Come on. I got responsibilities too.
I've just got to play that piano for a really long
man.
time. That's all I got.
That sounds good.
Okay. So worldwide, everybody in the world right now is an Ozzy Osbourne fan. And I posted something on Facebook. I'll put it up here. Some magazine had AI generated saying that Ozzy's strongest material was from War Paranoid and Heaven and Hell in 1980. And I'm like, we have now jumped the shark in Ozzy, So we found out, Rev and I found out yesterday while recording Heavy Radar.
I just got a text from my father-in-law that said Ozzy just died. Sorry, I just thought that was prudent to the time, to what we're about to talk about. I thought that would be.
Oh my God.
Is it real?
It looks like it's real.
Whoa.
That might change the tenor of the discussion, which we never finished, not yet. That Ozzy died and the grief was there. But what I'm hearing from you folks, the energy I'm getting is like this celebration of, wow, it's a whole new phase for metal. I think we're all primed to talk about Ozzy. So what do you guys think? Are you feeling better now that we've got about 30 hours since the announcement?
Can I start?
Yeah.
I was teaching and I had a student message me to say, well, I guess I guess my hopes for another tour are shot, and I knew exactly what he was saying. He didn't say anything else than that. But I was mid-teaching a business class, couldn't really let myself feel it, just had to put it in the back of my mind. And then through the rest of the day, it was, get through the day. Get through the day. And then I was listening to NPR, as I do. I'm a California girl. And there was a less than about 3-minute clip where one of their reporters did just a beautiful job of condensing who Ozzy was from the start of his interest in the Beatles to what we got to see a couple weeks ago. And it was just beautifully done. And that's when I was like, okay, fuck, this really hurts. It really hurts. And I said out loud in my car by myself, well done. And I was talking about the reporter, but I was also talking about the life.
Yeah.
And the gift. I've said it so many times before that post-Vietnam is when we got metal.
Yeah.
It's an era that we got an answer to through music. And for me, as a very young child hearing it and then gravitating back towards that in my teen years, there's nothing, for me, there's no song more satisfying. It gives me like an itch to move around than NIB.
Nice. Would that be your favorite Ozzy vocal song?
It's in my top 10 favorite songs that I've ever heard. Yeah.
Nice.
It doesn't matter what I'm doing, where I'm at. I heard it as a very small child. A lot of you know my story with my dad playing, putting headphones on my little ears when I'm 2 and 3 weeks old and introducing me to all of his favorite music. He just buried his dad right before I was born. It's 11 days between his dad unexpectedly passing at 42 years old and then him having this baby girl. And so it was just me and my dad for the first year of my life listening to music. And then my dad, when I was about 5, he had a religious experience. So he stepped away from, secular music for a long time. And when Ozzy and Primus redid that song in the 90s.
That's on the Nativity in Black.
Yeah. When that came on in the 90s on the radio and I heard it, I just stopped dead. Like, I know this. And my dad, he's walking by. He's like, yeah, you know this. So it was like that thing that I had been craving because, when I was for a short time, a very short time, limited on what I could hear, as my dad was sort of focusing on where he was at religiously at that point, my access to music was really small. And I craved something that I didn't have. And then as I got older and my dad kind of, reestablished himself and got back to listening to all kinds of music and then grew up in a sound studio and I would grab their CD collection. And that was exactly what I was craving, is that song.
Nice.
That's a good story.
Nice. Marty, what about you?
Well, so I was actually getting ready to go to work. It was already a bit late yesterday. I did like a quick reel because I was at the shop by myself. And my one guy was off, the other guy was on vacation. So I'm like loading my stuff in my car, and my 13-year-old daughter texted me. And I was like, oh my God, and her friend had told her it just got the news. And it's the emotions, that the endless ocean of emotion I swam. I'm going to take that from the Writ of Sabotage, my favorite Sabbath album. This roller coaster the last 30 hours. I've cried a bunch of times. I will say the first 2 songs I grabbed, Planet Caravan was first, and then You Can't Kill Rock and Roll was second. Those were the 2 I felt I needed to hear first, and I felt that Ozzy did.
That's interesting.
For me, I got into metal pretty young. I was about 11, and my parents got divorced. It was during the early 80s, like kind of satanic panic era. I had some older cousins that were into like hard rock like Scorpions and AC/DC and, you know, old Def Leppard and shit. And I loved all of that. But Ozzy and Sabbath were a little bit different, you know, and they, I mean, it was just darker. I mean, it was the birth of metal. And you know, a lot of people want to argue for Zeppelin. A lot of people want to argue, you know, some people say Deep Purple or Bad Thing, Right Heap or whatever. And to me, I disagree because like Sabbath, like those bands were, you know, first of all, you know, Zeppelin and like the whole like kind of esoteric and all their kind of hippie stuff. And like, I mean, Sabbath, like to me, like I've been saying this, they were the alpha and the omega. They emitted no light. I mean, it was dark shit, man. And because of Iommi's fingers, I mean, there's the sound, right? The evil tritone. So they've been with me my entire life. And you know, I always respected Oz, you know, even all through the 90s and stuff. You know, I might not have like been digging his, you know, like running out and buying his new solo albums, but I always kind of kept an ear to what he was doing and everything. And Sabbath was always there, man. My musical thing, I wound through hardcore. You know, a lot of people forget that like Black Flag, like Greg Ginn and Henry Rollins will proudly
My war, baby.
Opportunity to extol the virtues of Black Sabbath every single time. And yes, side 2 of My War is pure Sabbath worship. Pure Sabbath worship. The birthplace of sludge is My War side 2. So, I mean, it just, you know, on and on and on. And then in the 90s, then you got Soundgarden and Alice in Chains and all the bands in the Pacific Northwest. That, like, I remember hearing Alice in Chains Facelift in you know, what, 90, I guess it came out. And the very first riff of We Die Young, I was like, that's Black Sabbath right there. Because it was different than the thrash, right? I mean, you know, like it was a new thing. And then Corrosion of Conformity, Monster Magnet, Pious. You know, Sleep made a whole career being Sabbath worshipers. You know, I mean, obviously, Pike, High on Fire, all of that. Cathedral. I mean, the entire United Kingdom doom scene. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. So I just have never experienced a musical death like this. You know, I guess like Lemmy was probably up there. Chris Cornell was up there. I mean, I'm a huge Soundgarden fan. But yeah, I mean, it just knocked the shit out of me, man. And, you know, I've cried a bunch of times. So my favorite album, just briefly, is Sabotage. Of the top 6, it goes Sabotage, Volume 4, The Master of Reality. Then the other 3, it's hard, man. But, you know.
What you're talking about with the influence is so powerful because even these post metal bands like, for example, you know, Russian Circles and
ISIS.
Pallbearer.
Right.
Hugely influenced, especially by early Sabbath.
Right. Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats. I mean, you know, that's a little bit different. But, you know, I mean, it's like, you know, John Lennon walking into a Sabbath rehearsal in 1970, right? And on the post-rock thing, the post-metal, I was thinking of ISIS. I mean, it's like, there was like these huge waves of like neo-Iommi riffage, you know, but you just knew where they were, you know, where they were tapping into with that.
I always thought ISIS was very, very much like if Tool met if Tool met Black Sabbath.
Yeah, there you go.
When I was a kid, when I was in high school, I really got into the post-metal thing, and that just always what kind of stuck out to me. And I love the band because of that.
Yeah, that's fair for sure.
Yeah.
Sean Patrick, I've never heard you this quiet for this long. You okay?
I'll tell you about my day yesterday. So I videoed like a recovery / doom thing. I sent it to Jipsy. I was sitting in my garage and just doom scrolling Facebook, and I came across a post that Ozzy had died. So the first thing I did was let Andrea know. She was at work, and she's like a bigger Ozzy fan than I am. Andrea's seen Ozzy 6 times, and between Black Sabbath and Ozzy, and that's how we met. That's how our relationship started. posted something on Facebook one day about what rock band t-shirt should I wear, and some photographer that I just been following for a while was like, you should always wear a Black Sabbath shirt. And I was like, oh, who's this? And so like, yeah, it's just crazy. And so we, you know, our relationship eventually stemmed from that interaction. But yeah, for me, I found out, and honestly, like, it really did not hit me at first. My immediate reaction, I'm not really proud of this, but my immediate reaction was I need to like do a reel and, you know, let people know what's going on. And I think after about an hour then it really started sinking in. And then, the first album I ever purchased with my own money was Diary of a Madman. I remember walking over to the Westminster Mall. I still live in Westminster. I didn't live here for a long time, but I moved back. And I walked over to the mall and bought, I was like, it was like so hard because I wanted to buy Blizzard of Oz because it had Crazy Train on it. But man, I liked like Over the Mountain and Flying High Again were on Diary of a Madman. So, and I was like a huge Randy Rhoads fan. So I opted for the Diary of a Madman. So that's the album I put on yesterday when I finally was ready to like, you know, and then I ugly cried. And, you know, man, I like, it's hit me a lot harder than I expected. I saw a video this morning of Puddles the Clown, which is some like clown thing singing Crazy Train. I just saw Puddles open for Weird Al Yankovic about a month ago, and he did Crazy Train at that too. And so, man, like it's a massive loss for the metal community. And like, you know, I tried to think like who else could we lose that would even approach the impact, and there isn't anybody, you know. No. It won't be Iommi, and it won't be Rob Halford, and like all those deaths will be horrible, but this is kind of like the one, man. And I think, you know, it's like, I mean, it's just awful. I mean, like not unexpected, but still like, I feel like there's like something's missing. So, you know, I don't know.
There's a hole in the universe, man.
Yeah, man. It's like into the void, quite literally, I guess.
Hole in the sky.
Yeah.
You know, I think
that was my reaction. And then I wrote some, then I started writing, and that helped.
art helps. I think the only parallel I can think of as far as a loss more for the pop and prog fans was Bowie.
Oh, well, yes, I think that, you know, and yeah, I agree with that.
It feels like that.
Yeah.
It feels like this not just an icon, but
bigger than life.
groundbreaker.
Yeah.
You know, somebody who absolutely paved the way.
I think Neil Peart belongs in that discussion a little bit too. But yeah, those are really good points. I've been dying to ask this. So, Rev, we were recorded, and I think I got that edited, posted with the thumbnail in like a half hour.
Yeah.
So a lot of followers have messaged me like they found out on the channel, which makes me feel really weird.
Yeah.
But what was that experience like? Like we haven't really talked since yesterday.
Yeah, well, you know, when it first popped up, I didn't, like, you can see it in my eyes. Like when I see it, I'm like,
oh yeah,
is this, you know, my first thought is this real? You know, because there's so much AI generated content just to get clicks that isn't real. You know, Led Zeppelin's reforming all this. So, you know, after waiting in my head for, I don't know, 5 seconds, I was like, I better mention it just in case. Because if this turns out to be real and we don't address it at the time, like, you know, and I wasn't, you know, I was in my head, I was thinking of nothing but I hope to God this isn't real. You know,
your reaction is so genuine.
Dude,
moment.
I was embarrassed because you could see it. Like when I'm looking at my screen and my lip starts twitching.
It's amazing.
Anyway, I think I went through about every emotion you could think of in that 15 minutes that we talked afterwards. It was like the enormity of it didn't really hit me until, because I couldn't, you know, I was watching my nephew, my stepdaughter was downstairs, we were playing Minecraft and all that. So I just didn't have the space where I could really let it hit me. But when she went upstairs and he went home, I was scrolling through Instagram, just liking everybody's posts with an Ozzy, anything attached to Ozzy. Right. And Goya's post came up, man, and it had Mama, I'm Coming Home. And that song, that song means a lot to me, man, because of, you know, when I got sober, I was with my wife, who was then my girlfriend. And so it was just all this stuff hit me at once. And I was like, that's when the waterworks started, man. It was, it's still hard. Like I'm having there's a disconnect between my brain and my mouth. Like I'm having a hard time just talking about it, like making it make sense. You know, it just like the enormity of it is the story's over. And he went out on top. I don't know how many people besides Lemmy can really say, you know, they went out on top. It was one of their best concerts at the end, but yeah, it was wild to have it happen that way, you know, to find out that way while we were filming. It was hard to like mask how I was really feeling behind everything while being able to talk about it and not just sound like a bumbling fool.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a hard time because I shut everything down and, you know, got the edit out there. And after it was all done, I just went to the kitchen table. Yeah, I just started crying. You know, Julie's right next to me. And, yeah, it was a good moment. And then I started seeing just the tremendous amount of love and adoration. And I want to throw this out there. I mean, I am not punk. I don't come from, you know, the same background that you Mooger Foogers do. I come from prog, actually. So for me, it was King Crimson and Black Sabbath. You know, those were my... So I think if Robert Fripp were to die, it would probably hit me as hard as Ozzy. But Ozzy just, like, there were so many sides to him, and I think Motley Crue and Cinderella can legitimately cite him as an inspiration and a hero every bit as much as King Bastard and Black Pyramid and the Heavy Underground. It's like he never changed. Like, he never compromised that I'm aware of. He was always Ozzy. What is it about Ozzy that every single genre from Aerosmith, you know, on can claim Ozzy as like this huge influence? What made him so special?
I think I know that one. It's the same thing that makes him such a cool person, just personably. Like when you listen to his interviews and stuff, he's just a humble guy. Yeah. I think that makes him relatable to so many different kinds of people that somebody who doesn't like metal might be willing to give him more of a chance if they see one of his interviews, because he's just such a normal everyday man, and he's an example of what everyday men can achieve just by following your dream and being given one shot.
And to follow that, and he was unpolished, and I don't just mean in the way that he would speak or couldn't speak at times, the mumbling and the fast talking he did for decades, but he was unpolished with his vocals and his presentation. My boyfriend saw him, I think 2005, Ozfest. And, it's 2005. This guy's king of the world, or prince of darkness of the world. But he showed up in a pair of jeans and a black T-shirt and came out humble and smiling and put on a show just like that. No big fanfare. And he, at every level through his career, what he sang is what he sang. Unpolished.
That's Marty. That's a good point. I was going to go back a little bit to the Rev there. Kind of when speaking about Oz too, like I feel like from the background that he came from, and the fact that he was dyslexic and grew up so fucking poor in blown out Birmingham. I mean, Birmingham got hit real hard during the Blitz, World War II. So all four of them talk about growing up in the rubble. But he went on to show that this like normal kind of picked on bully guy became this fucking legend and this icon. So it kind of gave every other dude that was like picked on or bullied or whatever, it's like, hey, you know what? Like I have something now. And kind of Scott talking about, when you're saying the prog, like the punk and the hardcore, this is a strange comparison, but bear with me a little bit. In some ways, Ozzy's similar to Joey Ramone in the sense that, Joey was a misfit. Joey was a weirdo. Joey had all these fucking problems. But man, you know what? Like again, it gave you an identity, it gave you a belonging, it gave you a sense. And I just feel like Ozzy was like that, just on just like such a massive global scale that you go to any show and you have your sense of community. And back to the Motley Crue and Cinderella, 1A and 1B for me are Sabbath, Metallica. And I saw Metallica on Master of Puppets here in Albuquerque opening for Ozzy on Ultimate Sin. And, Ozzy always took those bands under his wing, he was, this is going to sound silly, but he was one of us, man. He was a music fan, and he was down to help other musicians. And, he was the real deal, man. There's just no other way to put it. And he never lost sight of that. He was grateful to the very end, man. I mean,
Bubba, Sean.
Oh, I'm not Bubba. I'm Sean today. Here's what I was impressed by today. I worked in my shop, and most of the people I work with are in their mid-20s, early 30s. Our clientele is all over the place, though, from 21 to 60s, 70s. But I have never talked to anybody, and I didn't talk to anybody today that ever really had anything negative to say about Ozzy Osbourne. It's like in a world of celebrities, in a world of Kardashians, and I don't know. I don't follow popular culture very much. Are they still around? I don't know. But there's always something to bag on about somebody about, right? There's always something. But like with Ozzy, everybody loved Ozzy. Like, the kid next to me is like 20 years old. He's from East LA. Like, his whole experience with Ozzy was the Ozzy show on MTV, and he loved it, and he was quoting it. And it was like, for him, like, he's aware of the music, but he didn't really care about the music. He's a hip hop guy. I had one young lady in the shop who did not know who Ozzy Osbourne was, and I don't know how that's possible. That's worse than negative in my eyes. So I blame that on a horrible upbringing, and apparently her parents were horribly abusive. I have nothing to base that on other than she doesn't know who Ozzy is. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, that's enough evidence. So, but yeah, everybody had something nice to say about Ozzy, and their experience with Ozzy, and everybody had like David's experience with watching him on TV, or people seeing him with Oz. Like, another guy was like, when I was 14, my sister faked out like she was my mom and called in sick. Called in that she was had to come and pick me up. I had to leave school. And so I didn't even know what was going on. And I walked out to the car, and it was my sister. And I'm like, what's going on with mom? She's like, nothing's going on with mom, but we're going to Ozfest, and jumps in the car. And it's his first concert when he's 14. He sees Ozzy for the first time. He's a big EDM guy, but he loves Ozzy. And, Andrea's first concert was Ozzy. And just like, in a world that we live in that's so negative, like, it's so, like, Rev, I know you have tough time getting on Facebook, and I do too sometimes. It's just like such a cesspool of fucking awful people with awful opinions. And, it's really refreshing to have something like Ozzy Osbourne, even in his death. Like, people are positive. It's a positive thing. And it's bringing people together like that concert did 2 weeks ago, and makes people happy. Yeah. And I really appreciate, Ozzy always made me happy, man.
Yeah.
That's
great.
He accomplished the hippie mission of bringing people together, they created Black Sabbath because they're tired of hearing the happy hippie stuff. Yeah. But in the end,
you're right.
Our metal messiah dies, and there's peace. It's a bizarre kind of topsy-turvy thing.
That's a good segue. One thing I'm really curious about, because I am proud of this team, and I don't think any YouTube channel, any blog has this level of talent, with them.
Well, thank you.
I'd love your opinion on we know that his life created or changed. I disagree with the created thing. I'll throw it out there. Budgie had a role in it. Deep Purple had a role in it.
Beatles, Helter Skelter.
But Black Sabbath is who put the whole thing on record, which is why they're the birth of metal. But there are more players, involved. Mm-hmm. But we know what he did What's the future? What do you think's going to happen with metal and metal culture now that he's gone?
Dude, I think, and dudes, all you people, I think that what we're going to see now is many younger people diving in. This happened. It happens.
Yeah.
When, and this is going to be a little strange to say, but the disconnect between younger and older generation music is gone and has been gone for a while. You know, you had your parents' music and the kids' music for a long time. Many things have bridged that. A big part, and this is a very strong opinion I hold, a big influence about 22 years ago, I think, that really helped to change that and bridge those gaps was the movie School of Rock. Credit where credit's due.
That's fair.
I like that movie.
Right? And, you know, when I saw it, I was like, I'm going to raise my kids on this shit because I had so much exposure to music. There wasn't, for me, in the 90s, the music coming out was not my music. I found things of it that I liked, but my music was all music, whatever I found that I liked. And I think more younger people delved into things like Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin and Sabbath and Yes, and all these things after that movie was force-fed to them by their parents. I totally did that to my kids. And I think now with that Life Complete, that, you know, he lived into his 70s, we don't get a whole lot of these characters, or we haven't so far, that made such a big impact, played for so long, and like lived a full life, didn't die at 50, didn't die at 69 like a lot of these famous people have, Bowie and you know, who else was it? Tom Petty. So he got a full life. And I think with the big production we had a couple weeks ago and all the players that were there, there were musicians involved in that I'd never heard of. And I know music, you know? Mm-hmm. So I think that the teens and the 20-somethings, they're going to pour themselves into all things Ozzy, all things Black Sabbath, and that is going to influence so much music.
Yeah, I can't
fucking excited.
I can't argue. I can't find a single thing to disagree with you on. Marty is you and I are probably the oldest timers here. What do you think about the future of music and metal now that Ozzy's now with us?
You know, it's an interesting question because, again, you know, as Jipsy said, there's not like another character like him waiting in the wings, right? And that's an interesting point that, you know, the younger generation, you know, might see this as a galvanizing moment, get on board, and let's hope so. I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, it's going to be weird to see who the torchbearer, I guess, for that will be. I mean, there's nobody. I mean, you know, you would argue that Metallica would be the next, you know, biggest band or whatever. Well, hold on. Let me finish.
I can only take so much.
But
I thought about that too. In all seriousness, Marty, I thought about James Hetfield. Yeah.
I mean, but again, they are the biggest heavy metal band on earth. You can go on how much you hate Load and the Black Album and all that stuff. At the end of the day, they're still the biggest metal band on the fucking planet, right? So you sort of think, damn, but Hetfield, he's not has the showmanship and all that of Ozzy. You know, then you turn.
He's not as likable.
No, there's that too. And you turn to Maiden, and on that point, Bruce Dickinson's not as likable, nor are they as huge. And then you maybe go to Rob Halford, but I feel like, you know, it's a little different with Priest, man. They were
yeah.
So it's hard to say. It's like, is it going to come from, you know, like the Mastodons and the Gojiras? I don't necessarily see that too. I mean, there's just a ton of good fucking metal bands out there. Is it going to come from the Stoner Underground? right? I mean, you're not going to point to this Phil Anselmo thing that Pantera, and I'm not trying to say that in an asshole-ish way, but it's not going to be them, is it? I mean, the question being who would, sort of perhaps step into that role. I'm not real sure. I think metal in general is in really good hands. I mean, I get real annoyed with customers. I'll be tattooing my clients, and I rock about 10 of these old school iPods, right? And they're all 105 12 gig SSDs. So
You are so Gen X.
Oh my God.
I am, man. Yeah,
Oh
bro.
my God.
So, no, you know what? You can't stream a promo, but I can load it on my iPod, right? So clients will ask me about music, and they'll say, well, there's not any good rock and roll, there's not any good metal these days. And I'm like, you have no idea. You're just not digging. You're not digging. I mean, and how can you even say that? Because now, in our day, we had to go to the record store. I used to buy albums based on the fucking cover, man. So you're rolling the
I
dice.
bought this album based on the cover.
There you go, bro. Right? I mean, it's right. Okay.
Seriously.
Yeah. So, but now you got like a Spotify playlist. So if you're listening to Children of the Grave or whatever, it's going to give you a list of similar shit. So, you can go down the Electric Wizard rabbit hole. You can go down the Conan rabbit hole. There's so many layers of Sabbath in like the stoner rock, right? You go down the Fu Manchu route, the corrosion conformity route, the fucking down route, the Electric Wizard Cathedral. I mean, there's Caius. I mean, there's so many different ways you go with it. So hopefully that'll make some of these younger kids dig a little bit deeper a bit. Frankly, don't know fuck all about music. That's the name 3 songs thing, right? So,
Wow. You did. So
I think
when you get a drink of water, do you drink it out of a hose?
we all do.
I got my trusty emotional support water bottle.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Okay,
Sure.
Rev,
Man,
the future of metal. Now that the Prince has the king. Come on, he's the king.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I was thinking of that last night. I was like, he's our Elvis. Come on now.
He's our.
come
Thank
on
you.
now.
I was just thinking that he's our Elvis.
Ridiculous news.
But yeah, the future, I think it's in fine hands. Anytime I get Doom Charts EPKs and those get sent to me, I can find at least half of those I fall in love with.
Yeah.
That's fine. There's bands that are going to be making it big that are great. It's fine. I worry with this that there's going to be a lot of Me Too that's going to pop up out of this. Record execs are going to see, oh, Ozzy's selling right now. Let's sign a bunch of bands. Let's change everything about them that makes them unique and, makes it this prepackaged thing. And I just don't want to see anybody who's doing something cool for the art side of it get taken advantage of, and I think that I get a little pessimistic. I get a little cynical, and I worry that that's going to happen with, when they see, oh, he's big again, let's start buying bands up and stuff. That is something I worry about. But I think the heavy underground is always going to be awesome.
To that point, though, like if somebody walks up to Matt Pike and Al Cisneros and says, hey, you guys are like these big like Sabbath worshipers, we're going to throw $1 gazillion at you to make a record. I mean, are we going to fault? I mean, would you fault Pike for taking the money?
No,
They've already done that.
And
he's just going to smoke a bunch of weed and buy a bunch of cool amps again.
Yeah, they already did. They have their chance.
This is
and they've been doing this thing for 25, 30 years. And they've put in the effort.
Old. I mean, they're older than I am.
yeah.
You know what? Rev, you're right. That is going to happen. It's absolutely going to happen that there are vultures there that want to, find some young talent that are maybe just sort of getting their name out there and put a stamp on them and run them through a mill. It's absolutely going to happen, but it's not going to win.
No, it's never going to win.
It never wins.
No, the art always triumphs the entertainment side of it.
Okay.
So that's why I think it's in good hands. The heavy underground has been strong my entire lifetime. I mean, St. Vitus came out before I was born.
Yeah.
So it's been going strong for damn near 40 years. It's going to keep going stronger for another 40 years.
Yeah.
If somebody's version of or what they think of metal is what they hear on the radio or what's on Billboard or Rolling Stones, I don't even know what's going on there. So it's hard for me to comment what the future of metal is like for the mainstream stuff, because I don't even know what's going on now. I mean, I couldn't name you, I guess, Sleep, or what is it? Sleep
Token.
Sleep Token. I know they're popular, but outside of that, I mean,
Did one of the Sleep Token guys played at Ozzy's show, right?
Yeah.
Like, was he the drummer? He was good. And the guy who sang for the Ghost guy was there, right?
oh, I love them.
Yeah.
He's I don't, but but he did a great job, and it was really entertaining. And I have to say, who was that Youngblood guy? He was good too.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, but
Yeah, I don't know either.
did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel better that none of you guys know who it is either.
So that's
My exposure to mainstream is on occasion listening to XM radios, liquid metal in my boyfriend's car. Other than that, I never
have any exposure to it either. Yeah, exactly.
I never hear mainstream. I hear what's on the Doom charts, and
Yeah.
Yeah, same. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
I have my, like on Bandcamp, you can search, like save search queries, I guess is what you would call them, where you can just, the number of tags. Yeah. So I have like, new release Sludge albums available on vinyl and cassette, like that, like really specific stuff for me. So all the stuff going on Doom charts as much, all this sludge, noise rock and stuff I find this way. I have no idea what other people are listening to.
Well, that's a good point. You bring that up on that tape. It's a little bit different, but I was scrolling like one of the tags, Garage Thrash, which is how I stumbled on Zigzags, who I fucking love, on Writing Easy. And I mean, it was a similar situation that you can really narrow that down. I mean, I'd heard of them, but I finally was able to really, all right, fuck yeah, let's check this out, kind of thing. I love Bandcamp. Side note,
Hell yeah.
Sean, did we get your take on what the future is after us?
The future is bleak. No, I think the future is super bright. Honestly, I think. Oh my gosh, I don't know how controversial this take will be, but I think Ozzy's influence on the modern heavy underground scene in particular is stuff that happened a long time ago. I don't think Ozzy's music hasn't been relevant to me for a long time. So the stuff that I listened to and liked is from the past, Black Sabbath and really just the first two solo albums are like what I like from Ozzy Osbourne, and there's a lot of new stuff, and I guess it's okay, but it's just not really it's almost too mainstream for me, and I don't spend a lot of time listening to that. And I wasn't really familiar with the "Mama, I'm Coming Home" song until I saw the concert. And I was like, shit, I don't know if I've heard this song before.
Were you under a rock?
I really,
come on.
I am under a rock. I'm deep under a fucking rock. But under that rock, I'm hanging out with Space Slug, because that's where it lives under rocks. And so,
it was high five. Don't leave me hanging.
Yeah,
that's the point.
You gotta do it.
He totally left you hanging, Scott.
So anyway, my point is that I'm slowly getting around to is that I think rock music can just in fine hands. I think Ozzy's laid a foundation, and the most important thing that you want to do when you're building a building is lay down a good foundation. And I think Ozzy and Black Sabbath have established the most solid foundation for our music that we could have ever hoped for. And that's why the heavy underground exists, and grunge died because grunge didn't have that solid foundation, and so grunge has worked its way into our music because it's got to live somewhere. And so I think rock is moving in the right direction. And I thank goodness for Ozzy and Black Sabbath, because they've laid this groundwork, and other bands too, like you mentioned. But, primarily, I think Ozzy's legacy will be what he did early in his career and with Black Sabbath, and I think that'll have the most influence on the bands that I like to listen to.
Fair.
That's fair.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised I didn't hear this. And if I'd like to give my take to the question. Yeah. I think the future's in fantastic hands. And I don't think we need somebody to replace Ozzy. Ozzy was enough. Ugly Kid Joe already tried. It failed. Now that's a deep 90s. I think the future has a name like Bianca or Riley. I think Castle Rat is absolutely poised to go to the next level. Faytooth and Snake, go ahead. Oh, no.
I got a band for you guys. All
Okay.
right. And there's a band I saw 2 weeks ago in Denver called Peach Street Revival
Yeah.
that Dave Angstrom's working with. And man, this girl can sing. Like, the vocals are amazing. So
Yeah.
I will get you guys. I have some video of their live show. They do have a CD and they do have a presence on Spotify. They don't on Bandcamp. But Scott, I agree. I think like this is the heavy underground is moving perhaps out of its Black Sabbath era and moving more into its Led Zeppelin and Heart era, where we're going to see a little more psychedelic. But for the Heart thing, we're going to see hopefully a stronger presence from the ladies.
I don't know.
No, I think about, sorry, Scott.
No, go ahead.
It was just maybe March or April was a year from when I interviewed Faytooth. And I don't think they had left California as an act yet.
Totally unknown.
Yeah, they were getting ready to do their first Oregon show. They just toured Europe.
Sold out.
I didn't know that.
They
Yes.
headlined and sold out.
Yeah.
Like they had to move at least one venue was too small. They had to move them to a bigger venue. This is Faytooth.
That's
This is
amazing.
young, female, all female presenting, queer band from LA, all less than I think 25 years old.
You can go on to,
Peach Street Revival is in the same demographic.
Yeah.
you can go on to TikTok and there are girls, you know how they do the miming to the song thing. I don't get it. I am a boomer. But that they're doing Faytooth, Riley Pinkerton and Castle Rat. I mean, I've been to their shows, man. People are lined up for an hour just to hand her artwork they've done that they've been inspired on. I'm interviewing Caleb Reiser from Black Moon Cult finally.
Finally. Come on, catch up. You're only two
I'm
behind me.
interviewing him Friday, and that's the topic of Metal After Ozzy. And, he's got other personal
That
things.
kid understands where he's come from and understands the impact of classic rock. He's great. You'll have a great conversation with him. He's a wonderful person.
I think the future's going to be great. I think there's a big future for pop infused metal. I heard an album from an artist also from Brooklyn called The Lady Alice. And, oh man, that is some really compelling stuff. I think but the next level, the next phase, it's going to be female. There are so many from Ruby to Hatchet up until the young bands of today.
You got the new stuff like Lorquin's Admiral has a heavy female presence, and obviously Crystal Spiders and Hexecutioner's album on the heavy side of things.
Oh, Luna, that band, Luna from the UK. I forget her name, Siobhan something. Yeah, I reviewed that one for the Shaman, and she had a fantastic voice, and so I can get behind that.
There's
and Mesa, let's not forget Mesa, who, not my favorite album, but it was still good stuff. I hate to do that. I'm actually going to turn into a pumpkin soon. Go ahead, Rev.
I just wanted to say I did such a poor job of saying where I think metal was going, but I say as long as there's misfits in the world, as long as there's rebels and people who don't feel like they fit in, metal and rock and roll and punk and all that stuff is going to be just fine.
So in other words, the future is Glenn Danzig?
No.
I like his music.
Come on, man.
Did I make a couple quick points? All right, I just want to say a couple of things about the Ozzy show. Like I kind of feel like he sort of knew, man. And he really wanted to play with Bill Ward, right? Because he didn't Bill Ward was not included on the 13 thing. And so, I feel like that was really special. And it was really cool to see him with everybody, right? I mean, they were all there for him. And my wife told me this morning, and I did not know this, but Ozzy had to quit taking his medication a few days prior to the show, so he was able to actually perform.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to point this out, and she gets a lot of hate. You know what I'm going to say, but I do feel like you got to give Sharon Osbourne some love, man, because if it wasn't for her, he would have been dead a long time ago in the fucking footnote. She scraped his ass up off the floor, got him going again. They got Randy Rhoads going, got the Blizzard Boss started, and they never looked back. So despite all of her stuff, I do feel like, Sharon, and condolences to the whole Osbourne family, man. I mean, whatever we think of as like their media presence or whatever, I mean, she saved Ozzy, man. She really did. Yeah.
Well, and
Can't argue
these are
that.
real people mourning a real person right now.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
I wanted to add, I wanted to add to what Rev was saying about there always being outsiders and misfits. Because when you look, so this is my favorite book, The Book of Rock.
Yeah, I have that book.
Yeah, my kids grew up on this book. And the Sabbath page, it shows him really young. I don't know how well you guys can see that.
Yeah.
But anytime I see pictures of him really young like that, I swear to you guys, he looks like the kids that my kids would bring home to hang out because they didn't have other friends.
Yeah.
Oh. My kids were always good at finding the misfits and bringing them here so they weren't a misfit anymore.
Yeah.
Right on.
And he looks like those kids. Those kids that, my kids brought them here and they would sit and have family dinners with us and clear the table and play games with us and jump on an instrument. They're all on the spectrum. They're all weird. They're all different. And I love them so much.
That's beautiful.
He's an icon to a lot of us for that reason, Gypsy. I mean, I feel like that every single day of my life. And, people like Ozzy make it easier to go day to day.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yep. I absolutely can identify with that myself, for sure.
So, Sean, concluding thoughts?
For me, and I think people should take some time and think about the stories of their lives that revolve around Ozzy Osbourne in one way or the other. I was a student council president in my high school, and the song that got voted our class song was Crazy Train. I know it's hard to believe. And the song that we voted for our class song was Crazy Train, and our principal would not allow us to use it. And so I resigned my position as student council president. And then they used some freak song. No, it was David Bowie Changes. It was still a great song, but it still wasn't the song we voted for. And, it was like, man, kids were so mad. And, it was just like the first car stereo I had, I got this big old amplifier and I rolled into the school parking lot, and what song I was playing? I was playing Crazy Train. And Ozzy always popped up in those places, and in stories, and was music in the background or in the foreground. And I think we should hold on to those memories and celebrate them. And I think, like I said earlier, rock's in fine hands because of people like Ozzy Osbourne. So let's just be grateful for him.
Nice.
Absolutely, man.
To paraphrase, when Randy Rhoads died and Ozzy decided to go ahead and continue the tour, and he was interviewed, I believe it was an NPR thing, and they asked him, why aren't you taking a break? And he said, well, obviously he would have wanted it to go on. And he said, and you can't kill rock and roll, something to that effect. You can't kill rock.
I am so fortunate that I saw that Randy Rhoads on the last tour just a couple months before that happened. And so, it's one of the great memories of my life, for sure.
I didn't see him to work at the Moon.
Yeah.
It's a function of being old as hell.
It still hit me.
Last thoughts?
Yeah, it's still something I'm processing, just to kind of, there's such an element of finality to it. It's like a kind of what I think it's like. It's for heavy metal. It's the BCAD thing. You're going to remember, we're all going to remember what metal was before his death and what shape it takes, 10, 20 years afterwards. So it's going to be odd, or it's going to be interesting. Let me say interesting. I don't mean to say that with a negative context, but it's going to be interesting to see how metal goes forward without his guiding hand. Because, whether anybody wants to admit it or not, Ozzy's opinion of their band fucking matters.
Absolutely.
So, it's good. It's interesting. I don't think there'll be one person to take up the mantle, because I don't think anybody's shoulders can shoulder that weight, quite frankly. I mean, Dickinson is too divisive of a figure, and I just don't think Judas Priest is a lot of people's thing with the falsetto voice. So it's going to be interesting to see who takes that up, because Lemmy's gone, he can't do it. So yeah, I'm curious about that. But yeah, I am excited to see where it goes from here, and especially if it branches out into more types of music and takes in other, takes electronica as influences. I really like when metal starts doing that. So yeah,
I love fusion music, yeah.
Okay. Well, folks, thank you so much. I have a couple of predictions. I think Ozzy will get a posthumous Sir Ozzy Osbourne. I'm pretty sure he's going to be knighted. It wouldn't surprise me if all the original members are knighted. And again, I'm really optimistic. I think what we're hearing in the heavy underground and bands like Sleep Token, that album's awesome. Like it has so much prog stuff to it. We're going to be fine. I think Ozzy's going to leave that hole. It's like when Kai's broke up, they were no more. What did we do? We came up with 5,000 bands with 500 labels, and we did these shows in these black boxes, and everybody in the audience is in a band, just like Asheville Doomed and Stoned.
Oh yeah, just like last week.
I saw Noah and Temple of the Fuzz Witch, and there were girls that showed up just to see Temple of the Fuzz Witch, right?
Yeah, I saw that with Astronaut and Rob, the guitar player for Astronaut. It's like,
Yeah.
look at that. We've got some suck cymbals on the scene.
And I think bands like Clean, definitely, I think they have breakthroughs. So I feel optimistic. I'm sorry that Ozzy's gone. I'm still having a hard time with it. But man, you couldn't write a better ending for that Mooger Fooger, could you?
Yeah, man.
So,
That's perfect.
so
We
how
know
long
it.
do you think? How long do you think before the movie's out?
not even 2 years, 3 years.
2 years.
Take to make a script.
Who's gonna play Ozzy?
Me.
Zach,
Oh, damn it. I was going to play Ozzy.
Guys, thanks again. I had a blast. I'd like to think we can put something like this, every 3 or 4 months or so. It was great working with y'all.
Anytime.
The best team, and you are burying me with content. So thank you so much.
Man, I'm going to do a couple more things tonight. I'll get them right out.
Yeah, I will kill you. I will reach through my cell phone.
So there's Riff though. It's like I'm ready to dig into that, and then Sabbath
Okay.
50-year anniversary.
By the way, for those of you in listening to us, we are in bad need of an editor. You don't get paid anything, but you get to make sense out of these people. So anyway, thank you again on behalf of Clean and Sober Stoner and Monster Riff. This is the team. I love you all dearly, and we'll see you next time.